So, so, okay, okay. Is it odd how when we get women in fiction, they are either ugly or they're men. Anyways, Wonder Woman goes full modern audience and the reaction is brutal. Yeah, I'm ready for that. Meet DC's new transgender Wonder Woman, Naya Nal. It is very interesting. We got Wonder Man out here instead. It is interesting. You know, come to think of it, I don't like to use the word misogyny, but isn't it incredibly misogynistic to turn female characters into biological males? Isn't it? And then calling that a woman? Isn't it? Anyways, we're going in. This is a ref video. Also, please consider liking and subscribing. I'm gonna bother you with reaching 5K this year as much as I can. So do that. Thank you so much. And yeah, we're going in.
Hey, what's up, guys? Ruff here. So it appears that we have reached the woke final boss. DC Comics is back at it again, doing the most ridiculous choices when it comes to their comic books, including their
And people sit here and ask why comics are absolutely losing and dying to anime and manga. To manga mostly, right? Because, right, cartoons are losing to anime, right? And comics are losing to manga. It is so interesting.
introduction of a new transgender Wonder Woman. And of course, the reception of this is one of mockery and, well, criticism, because
I can tell you that without surgery, not a single man will be able to put this on. Not a single dude will be able to put this on. I can tell you that much. I can tell you that much. Hi, Fran. How you doing? Are we doing well?
on its face, this doesn't really make any sense now, does it? But of course, news outlets.
Of course, original lore-wise, it doesn't make sense. Wonder Woman is from an island that is exclusively biological females. And as we were able to tell, only the daughters of these, as far as I'm aware, do even have powers. So there's that. There's only women. So how would a male be able to, you know, have powers? Anyways.
Like Q News here is very excited about this, and a lot of people, the modern audience mainly, is celebrating this. And
There is no modern audience. That's the thing, though. I guess journalists are part of that, but like they're trying to create the modern audience. That's why they're remaking everything, right? That's why they're remaking everything. So you forget about the originals and they could shove down the new ones for you know, younger generations. Anyways.
as something to validate their agenda, their identity, what have you. But this is truly a DC Comics moment. This is nothing that's come out of thin air. This sort of stuff has been going on for well over a decade at this point, decades even, where representation and agenda pushing is way more important than entertaining people, and yet DC Comics is.
Yep. So is anime and manga though, right? They do suffer from the same problem where people demand representation, but I'm going to say something that will shock you. I will say something that will shock you. I don't care about representation, especially not right in anime, right? I see a lot of mostly black people demanding that there be black characters in anime, but I'm going to say something that will probably shock a few people. This is not your media. This is not your media. I know, shocking, but this is not your media. And we've seen what happens if you do representation. You get gachiakuta. You get gachiakuta with an audience harassing the own mangaka. And we know exactly what audience that is. It is hoodweeps. Yeah, we get the idea. And then obviously LGBTQ and stuff, right? Makes sense. No sharp weapons can wound Wonder Woman. How the hell are they able to operate a movie also as sturdy as her? This is why Western comic book empire getting destroyed by the East. Yep, it is indeed.
Is puzzled as to why people are choosing manga over comic books. So as we can see, this is a part of a new events for DC Comics. They're Pride events for the month of June. And in this Pride event, they are introducing the new Wonder Woman, a transgender hero dreamer named Nia Null. And as the author here begins, the already iconic trans superhero dreamer will take up the mantle in a new comic launching today. I'm already seeing people getting offended online. Really?
Really? Shocking. There are actually black people in anime, not a lot, but there are a couple. For example, Dutch and Black. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. That's not the issue. The issue is demanding that there be black people in anime when you are not the target audience. Fun fact: you are not the target audience for anime. Not me. Not Mexicans. Not black people. Not Indonesians. Not Russians. Japanese are the target audience. Shocking, I know. And I think Japan should stick with targeting Japanese as their target audience. But that's just me. The problem isn't that there's black people. The problem is that if you insert black people because outside forces demand it, because these characters are often written horribly. They're often written horribly. Sorry for my word, but why black people are so obsessed with representation in media? Because they don't have their own media. I'm gonna say it the way it is. They cannot create their own media. I don't know why. They can't. Can you tell me, for example, right? Since they like to always go back to the right, if they are acting like victims, right? They like to go back to their ancestors, mainly Africa, right? Can any one of you name me a popular African show that originated from Africa and is well known and popular internationally? You can't. They don't have their own media, as harsh as that sounds. They don't. They don't. Right? It's that harsh. They do not have that. So that's why they need representation in everything, because they don't create, because there's no black people creating media specifically targeting black people. Rarely. Wakanda joke. I'm actually curious. Now that you mention it, not to mention, let me actually like check right. I'm actually curious now. Right? So, right? Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Who is Jack Kirby? Right? Let me see who Jack Kirby is. That's a white man. So, Black Panther isn't even their own media. A white man drew him, and the white man created him. Anyways, moving on.
People are getting offended by this. You know what? I think that's maybe a good thing. I think more people should be offended by something like this. The notion of an Amazonian being transgender kind of goes against the entire Wonder Woman concept as well. But I think women aren't offended enough.
No. See, an Amazonian technically could be transgender, but not male to female. I don't know if female to male breaks the law. I do not understand. I don't know, right? I'm not too known in Wonder Woman, right? DC lore, right? But arguably that could technically work. It cannot work in the reverse, where a main becomes an Amazonian, because that breaks lore. They probably will pull something out of their ass there. I'm very much assuming that that's the case.
By this, we're talking about comic book fans in general mocking this, but I think women should be particularly offended by this. But that is a conversation that I'm sure social media will have a very pleasant time dealing with. But the author here continues on saying, I just want to remind you that the character of Wonder Woman has already been confirmed as bisexual and is already an LGBTQ plus icon. When you need to use fictional characters as an icon for your movement, that just tells you how terminally online all of these activists truly are. And also the developments with Wonder Woman are obviously recent ones.
Oh, now you care about bisexuals. I find that hilarious. Now all of a sudden they do care about bisexual people. Now all of a sudden that is the case. Now all of a sudden that is the case. But didn't you crash? But wasn't there a massive thing going on where when bi people would date the opposite gender, they would be treated like garbage, right? Barely, almost excluded. I'm not forgetting that. I may not be bisexual, right? I'm as straight as it gets, but I very well remember the way the LGBTQIA plus part very much excludes bisexual people. I am that's why also the most people that I know that don't like this whole label are bisexual.
And ones that represent a shift in how DC is approaching, well, everything with their company. But they continue on saying, well, come on. The original character is an Amazonian princess, an island entirely populated by female warriors. How is she not queer?
That's simple. That's actually quite simple. How can Amazonians continue to exist? Because as far as I'm aware, they still have to go outside of their little island and get pregnant. Unless I'm wrong. Like, it doesn't make sense unless they're immortal.
That's a very weird set of projection. Basically saying, if you're stuck on
or if you're like only right, if you only have female friends, you must be a lesbian. Wonderful.
An island with people of your same gender, how could you not end up sleeping with them? That's what this author is saying. Like, you literally wouldn't be able to help yourself in that situation. Do you understand how ridiculous all of this is? But of course, they say now DC's first trans superhero is getting the ultimate glow up, and we love.
Well, okay, Google, they are biologically immortal, but we've seen that they can die. So to make more, they have no other choice, because we've seen that they've got completely obliterated ones.
To see it. How does Nia become a new Wonder Woman? Bear with me, I'm more of a Marvel fan. DC comic readers were first introduced to a new superhero team in Justice League Intergalactic Special Number 1. The planet Nautor and the Green Lanterns that protect it fell under the spell of the wretched Witch Queen, aka Mal Sinestro, who harnesses the planet's dream energy in hopes of taking over all that lies beyond. Star Sapphire
Dream energy. Sounds kinda gay. Moving on. Rock.
assembles a team of Justice Leaguers to liberate them, except for Green Arrow, who hates space. But Adam Strange's ship comes under attack before it enters Nautorian orbits, and Galaxy invites her best friend and one of the League's most wanted, Dreamer, along on the mission without telling anyone. Dreamer's visions spell doom from the start, and just when Star Sapphire thought she was getting the hang of her powers and being team leader, they succumb to the witch queen's all-consuming hive mind. Oh, that's so ironic. Talking about a hive mind when that is exactly what has consumed the likes of DC over the past couple of years. Now, in Justice League Dream Girls, a DC Pride event, Dreamer and Galaxy wake up in another reality. But in this dream dimension, they are Amazons, the race of warrior women from Greek mythology who live on Paradise Island, hidden from man's world, aka the rest of the world, and also the birthplace of Wonder Woman. Nia replaces Diana in this dimension, aka Wonder Woman, in her formative years and starts her own Wonder Woman origin story. I mean, what else do you say at this point? Like, the jokes right.
So arguably, your trans Wonder Woman is not even trans. She is biologically then a woman because, right, it's an alternate universe. Therefore, she is still a woman. So your trans woman isn't even trans. Right? It's a full-on chick. Regardless. Wonderful. Where did that idea come from? Hilarious.
Themselves. And again, why aren't more women offended by this? For so many.
Because it's the women that invited these people in. It's the women that invited these people in, and if they crash out, they'll say something about it, right? They're getting called turfs. And then you have to unfortunately say that women are more tolerant of this because they have they are more inclined to have suicidal empathy, which is completely trashing their feminism as a movement or whatever is left of it. That is.
Many years, Wonder Woman was pushed as a feminist icon, and now she's being replaced, at least in this storyline that they say is an alternate dimension type situation, which DC does a million of, but they are replacing Diana and doing this route. Does that not offend you as a woman, or at least as a comic book reader? I don't really know. But anyways, they say that this role was played by Nicole Maines in the television version of Supergirl, and that was the first trans superhero played by a trans actress. And going further,
I can tell that's a dude. Oh no, Superman's son being gay. Ew.
Since 2021, DC Comics has published a Pride comic in June, Pride Month. It has been a brilliant way to showcase the inclusion and diversity that already exists in the comic book universe, while also opening pathways for readers who like to see their stories reflected in the works. You know, there's that meme where like people of all sorts of backgrounds, races, what have you, can enjoy a character like Goku. Not because they look like Goku or identify with the sexual preferences or the identity of Goku, but just because they enjoy his character and the related stories. I guess that all goes out the window when you're terminally online and an activist who needs validation at every single corner of media. Otherwise, you're going to implode under your own dissatisfaction with yourself. I mean, it's exhausting. Iconic LGBTQ plus characters include Midnighter and Apollo, who were a gay version of Batman and Robin from an alternate universe in Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. This is the most important parts of consuming.
The problem is that you shouldn't use Harlequin and Poison Ivy because, arguably that wasn't forced. This is forced. This is forced and therefore also badly written. Everything that's forced is badly written. It's always been that.
Media for these people. But of course, they are hinging upon the words of a Wonder Woman writer who stated it makes no logical sense for there not to be gay relationships in this setting, and the concept doesn't really exist to them, but then again, they're shoving it in your face 24/7, but I guess that wasn't enough representation. Now they're bringing in transgender Wonder Woman, and that is stunning and brave. That's all we can say, but of course, in 2022, Wonder Woman / Diane shared an inspiring message in the story Hell Hath No Fury that Wonder Woman fights for all women, including trans women. Fantastic. And then you scroll down and you see the author here responsible for this.
That is a dude. That is a dude. Men. This is a man. This is a man in a man's world. This is a dude.
And it's just, it all adds up, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? But yeah, are you guys going to be checking out the latest DC comic here featuring a transgender Wonder Woman? Please let me know. And again, I asked this the other day, if you're a woman watching this video, please go ahead and share your thoughts on this change. Because apparently women are a hive mind who think this is stunning and brave, and they really wanted this change. But anyways, that's going to do for this video. If you enjoyed, please consider giving the video a like. Also consider subscribing and turning on notifications.
That's the end of the video pretty much. All I can say is, arguably, that this is misogyny in its highest form. Moving on. Anyways, that's all I can say technically, right? And I think I'm going to continue that from now on. I will definitely call a man thinking he could be a woman exactly that. I think it's time to acknowledge that. I will, at least. Anyways, this is very interesting. Yeah, this is the reason why comics will be gone sooner or later, right? Give it 10 more years, and you're not gonna see a single comic out there because they don't sell. They will not sell. Arguably, he still has the male face, even in this fantasy and alternate world. Anyways, also, I don't think an Amazonian can be purple. Moving on.